Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. It's 5 after. I think the last few have trickled in, so we'll go ahead and get started today. First, who's here for the first time? Raise of hands. Welcome. Not bad, huh? Yeah. Who here would consider themselves an entrepreneur? Yes, that's what we want to see. So today we've got a really exciting program for you. For those of you who are new, we'll have two presentations, 6 to 8 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of question and answer. During the question and answer session, you'll see myself and some of the other organizers walking around the room with microphones. You can raise your hand if you have a question, and then stand up and use the microphone for the quality of the recording, which we post on YouTube later. So for the entrepreneurs and for anybody who missed or anybody who wants to share their story, you can find them on our YouTube channel. Today we have two really, really good presentations. We've got one we would call a refill, which is Deborah Wilson with O-Steam. She's here to talk about the Maker Faire. And then we've got the guys from StepNpull, both born and bred here out of Springfield, Missouri. And after the program, we'll have a 10-minute intermission, and we'd like to welcome everyone who is in attendance for the Cox Health naming ceremony. Cox Health has purchased the naming rights to the room. We'll do a little bit of a reveal. There'll also be pastries in the lounge for everyone to enjoy. So if you can stick around, go ahead and stick around. If you'd like to do a little bit of networking or conversating, you guys can do it outside of the room just at 10 after. So without any further ado, we'll introduce our first presenter, and that's Deb Wilson with O-Steam.
Anybody was in the July issue when I was able to tell about O-Steam? Was anybody there? Yeah, a few of you. O-Steam actually is a nonprofit that we started a year and a half ago to promote STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math throughout the entire Ozark region. And we have partnered with a number of organizations, and along with the Discovery Center of Springfield and the E-Factory. We actually were intending to have the Maker Faire at the E-Factory, but after reevaluating the extent of the people wanting to participate, we knew this venue wasn't going to be big enough, so we have changed it over to the Springfield Expo Center. And how many of you have been to a Maker Faire? Anybody been to a Maker Faire? Yay, Jeremy! So I love it. This is one of the biggest hurdles that we have is our organization had actually started back in April to have a STEAM summit, and we brought together a number of different groups, and we thought, what could we do differently? And we had thought about doing a Maker Faire and to see what kind of ingenuity and creativity could come up in the Ozarks. Well, if you look at what a Maker Faire is, if you actually do a Google search of a Maker Faire, it takes you straight to their website. But a Maker Faire is actually an award-winning family event celebrating technology, education, science, arts, engineering, food, sustainability, and way so much more. It is actually a part of our pulp culture anymore, and it's a place for experimental marketing, debuting of new technologies and inventions, and I do believe the square that people use on their phones or on their iPads actually started at a Maker Faire to get that going and celebrate geekdom. And this is just to give a shout out to all of those that love the techie part of life. And Maker Media produces two annual flagship Maker Fairs. Let's see if I can get the pointer. I guess the pointer doesn't work. Point towards the computer. Well, okay. Back in 2006, that's when the first Maker Faire happened in the Bay Area of California. And then the following year, and they had 22,000 people attend that. And then in the next year, they included and added one in New York City. And then in 2010, I know it says in 2012, you see the green part, those are the featured fairs. Now, the featured fairs are partners with museums to produce those kind of fairs. And they started in 2012, but actually in Kansas City started theirs in 2010. And this summer in June the 23rd, June the 23rd, they are going to have their 5th Maker Faire. And they've got all kinds of planned excitements, and if you've never been, it's really exciting to go to one. And then in 2013, these are just the projections. They had over 455,000 people attend the Maker Fairs all over the world. And if you look at the stats, in 2012, they had 51 events in 11 countries, and in 2014 it went to 131 events in 26 different countries. And then, if you do a Google search of Maker Faire, it'll take you straight to their website, and you will find listed on there the Maker Faire, the Ozarks Maker Faire. And this shows globally where they are all over the world. And so that's why we thought this could be a really good thing for the area. So then if you go down and just scroll down, right now they have about 99, which the Ozark Maker Faire is one of them for this year. And that's our website. And you go to About, and I'm going to hope this works.
So when people ask what Maker Faire is, I think you really have to come and experience it. It's much bigger and bolder and beautiful than you can imagine.
Maker Faire is a newfangled county fair, so it's rockets and robots, and it's a fair for the people and for our time.
The stuff that people make and they show at Maker Faire is just incredible. This is the place where it's cool to be smart in a way, you know?
Maker Faire is this huge tapestry of creativity. I love just wandering around and looking at all the different things. People spend hours and hours here interacting with makers and seeing really a spectacle of making. But at its heart, I think it's a conversation with people who create things and make things and produce something for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes it's a business, but they're here sharing what they do, and it's just a wonderful, incredible event that I think makes you see that this is sort of the best side of human beings.
And that's what a Maker Faire. And every Maker Faire is different because every county, every city, everywhere, it's just so eclectically different. It just brings the highlights of your region. And then we wanted to make sure our organization, within our organization, that the Maker Faire actually stayed true to our mission, and that's promoting science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math throughout the entire Ozark region. And so we want to really be able to showcase the Ozarks as being an inventive, innovative, and creative entrepreneurial culture that we believe it to be. And then we wanted to have some goals in place, and one of the specific goals was to keep a list of area makers so that there is some place that we have both the fine arts makers and industrial makers, people that are interested in this kind of avenue, and then create a venue where the makers can learn and create and build. And that's why we partnered with the Discovery Center of Springfield, so that we can continue this thought. And we've got some maker spaces opening in the area. We want to encourage that creativity to people to go and sign up and use that event. And then creating the venue where yearly, and we expect this to be a yearly event. We expect this also to not just be once a year, that to have little maker meetings from time to time during the year, just to promote and to push this within the area. And this is entirely the Ozark region. And that was one of the reasons that we wanted to go on that international website, was because we wanted to see people take a look at the Ozarks in a very creative lens. And we wanted to generate an opportunity for startup businesses to have an opportunity. And then now you're saying, well, what does it mean to me? Why is it so important to bring something like this? Well, Ozarks, we have to take our head out of the sand, and we have to start really pushing ourselves, both educationally wise and in the economics. To bring higher paying jobs to this region, you have to have opportunities for people to explore and do some things like that. So we really wanted to bring a wellspring of innovation and creating new products to the forefront, because when you get makers together, they start collaborating. It's just a natural fit. They start collaborating, and then it's infinite possibilities are available from that. And here are just some of the topics that we're looking for. As you can see, it's very eclectic. We've got anywhere from 3D printers and CNC machines, and one of our makers, actually, she's got a degree from the Design Institute in Chicago, Illinois, and she actually didn't have the $1,200 to buy her own 3D printer, so she made one. She got on eBay and found the parts to it, and she made it, and she's busy right now making all kinds of things to then sell at the Maker Faire. And then you've got textiles, arts and crafts, you've got e-textiles, you've got home energy monitoring, we're going to have workshops where kids can actually take things apart, kids, and I'm talking kids 2 to 92, where they can actually take things apart, put things back together, or take parts from something, put them in something else, make some little soldering type activities, be trained in that. We're going to have speakers and all kinds of activities where people can listen to a high end, and then also get into the nitty-gritty of some real artistic means and just showcase the Ozark. Now, thank you. I think I just about made my 6 to 8 minutes, so thank you for listening. That is pretty short and fast to the point. And then hopefully some questions can kind of alleviate some other questions, because this is going to be a big educational feat for us to explain what a Maker Faire is.
Absolutely. If anybody has a question, they can just raise their hand. Sterling or I will give you the microphone. To kick it off, did you license the Maker Faire project from another entity?
Yes, that was a good question. We actually our organization had to sign the lease, and really it's very reasonable. They charge 50 cents per ticket, and then for every ticket that's sold, there will be 50 cents going to them. And then there's other things that you can purchase, banners, you can purchase fonts. They helped set up the website for us, so some funds went to that. But it's relatively inexpensive.
What was the total cost of a ticket again?
The total cost of a ticket is going to cost $8 for adults and $5 for kids and students. And the reason we're keeping it as cheap as possible is we're really trying to promote this and to get this into the area where we can get some funds, and it is a money-making entity for our organization, because with those funds then we can use it to go out to schools and to set up other activities around the area where kids, young and old, we can do presentations, we can go in and do kids where they make things, put things apart, go through the 1-hour coding, make sure all kids have gone through the 1-hour coding, and just a variety of different things.
Right here.
Yes.
Hi, question. Why did you pick that particular region or that square out of the state of Missouri? Why wasn't it larger, smaller? What was your reason?
Kansas, for our organization?
Yeah, for your organization.
Because I'm partial to the Ozarks. I actually was a executive director I'm a retired teacher, first of all. I taught 32 years, 24 of my years in Springfield. Taught in Rolla 6th grade science, but I've taught in Ash Grove K-12 reading. So I've really eclectically done a lot of things, but as executive director for science teachers in Missouri, it was a 1-year stint because that was the organization wanted to just try it out. They were hoping to find a company that would help sponsor that position, and they were not able to do that during the about 4 years ago. They were not able to find that, so I decided, well, why can't we do something like that? And I wanted to give back to my community that I cared so deeply about, and share my love and passion for science. I am the only presidential award winner from the state of Missouri in this area, and I want that for more teachers. I want teachers to see what it feels like to get your award from the President of the United States. And I feel there's a lot of great teachers out there, but they don't know and don't expect them to feel that they're that quality of work. And it's all based on your students' work.
Yeah, just real quick again, my question was, why did you pick this particular area? Is it just because you love the Ozarks? But
it is because I wanted to change people's perspective of the Ozarks. Because typically when people outside this area think about the Ozarks, they typically think backwards, behind, and hillbillies. And not that I don't love that culture, because that's part of me, but I also know that it holds us back when people view us on the STEM circuit. And you'll hear me use the word STEM, and you'll hear me use the word STEAM. We've just added the arts to it because Branson and Springfield are very tuned into the creative arts. The Ozark we just picked because geographically we wanted to start in an area. There are places in Kansas City and St. Louis, and one of the things I did as executor, I went to a lot of meetings, science meetings. They were all in Kansas City, St. Louis, Jeff City, Columbia. I call it the I-70 cordon. And so what happens is that It's not that they talk bad about us down here, they just don't talk about us. And I want to change that. I want people to say, when they think about the Ozarks, they go, oh wow, that is the little gold nugget of the Ozark Hills.
Next question. Have you visited all of the high schools around to see if they can do field trips and get these students in here, see what you can do to get as many of the students in here? Because I know, as science teachers would love to be able to take those field trips and get those kids in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, one of the things, actually August 29th is actually going to be 2 weeks into the new term. We are trying to work with schools, especially in our rural areas, because that's high on my list. One of the things that, as both a grandmother now and as a mother of children that graduated from these wonderful school system that we have here, is that I wanted something better and something where people could say, let's just push the limits on what we can do with our kids. Did I answer your question? No, okay, say that question again.
What have you done to visit, visiting the schools? Have you
yes,
been to all of the high schools in the area?
I'm actually going to do a presentation to all the superintendents in the area at their monthly meetings and share that information with them. We also have 2 representatives on our board, that Dr. Kevin Kopp from NICSA and Dr. Matt Pierce, he's the associate superintendent at Republic. They're on our board, and so their job is to go out and all their educational meetings to share that with people. We also have Willard is involved with this, Ozarks involved with it. We have a number of other small districts, but we're trying to get those smaller districts to be part of this too, and to bring busloads of kids, and we'll do something that can attract more of those kind of kids.
There's another group in town that's trying to organize. I think they're called Dream It, Make It. They're another maker group.
Yes,
I was wondering
they
if you
are
were
actually
connected
part
with them.
of our group.
Okay,
Stacy is
perfect.
actually doing the registration part of it, because, well, this kind of might lead into that about who's involved with it. And one of the things we did when our group decided that we wanted to bring this forth, we were a small board. We wanted to get more people involved with it, and we wanted this to be a grassroots effort, not just our effort, but the community's effort. So we invited all kinds of businesses, industry, manufacturing. We invited pre-K through 12th grade school districts to come, higher education, after school, and informal groups. And then we had the Arts Connection. We had media represented. We had makers represented, professional organizations, and STEAM organization, government. In fact, we invited anybody we could think of that might have a reason to push this. And actually, Greg Burris, when I talked to him back in September, the poor man, I had called his office to talk to him that we wanted to set this meeting up, and we wanted him to be there to kind of lead it as kind of a government agency. And he was homesick. His secretary called him and said, I think you're going to really like this idea. So he actually called me from home when he was sick. And I don't know, you guys, if you make a phone call when you're homesick, that's a big deal. So I know women would understand that totally. So I was very impressed that he took the time to do that. But he understood it was on his bucket list to bring a Maker Faire to the area. And we're only a mini Maker Faire because we are a first year. And that's why we're considered a Maker Faire. Then out of those meetings that we had in November and December, some people stepped forward because I said, I don't know what everybody's expertise is. What can we do? What can you do to help us make this happen? And so we had some core leaders come out of that and are helping with that. We still have a few little spots because we're still on the driving range of getting other things in place, because we're all volunteers. Nobody's making any money on this. We're just really trying to make this happen. So you can see we're very eclectic in the types of people that are involved in this. And I think this is some little ideas of some of the makers. Questions? More questions?
I see you have Dr. Kopp involved in NICSA.
Yes.
Are you working on collaborating with them on their STEAM school, the John Thomas School of
I
Discovery?
also
in NICSA?
actually sub a lot, and I sub at that school because with my background, I said it's a win-win for them to get to have somebody like me go in there, and because I've got all these ideas off the top of my head and can go in there and do a really nice job. But yes, that school is great. They are the first, if you haven't heard, they are the first STEAM school in the state, officially credentialed in the state of Missouri. So
my daughter attends there. It was an awesome
Yeah,
experience.
it
for sure.
is. It is a great thing, and being as I am actually a primary teacher, a first grade teacher, that was my love, is to get kids to love reading and writing through the interest of science, because I was an at-risk kid and I wanted to change that for especially little boys that like to tinker with stuff. And we always had all kinds of critters and all kinds. They called my classroom the zoo. And when I retired, this little boy at church comes up to me and he goes, "Mrs. Wilson, I went to your classroom to say hi to you, and you weren't there." And I said, "I know, I retired because they just needed somebody new and younger." And he goes, but nobody's going to do science now. And I go, "I'm not the only person that does science." And he goes, "But nobody does it like you." And I said, and that's true, but at the same point, I never had him in my classroom. He just knew about the importance. Then everybody thinks, when they think of me, they think, "Oh, I'm the science person." But if they really looked at what I did, it was reading and writing and math through the love of science.
Hi. Something goes wrong with kids, and it's certainly not confined to the Ozarks with respect to science and a love of science. If you could change one thing as a teacher, could you attribute that, one thing that would change that or improve that? What would that one thing be?
I think the biggest issue, and this is coming from an at-risk kid, is letting some things go that maybe you are forced to teach. For example, in my classroom, and I don't know, you probably know the education, but Grant Wiggins is a big guru in education who talks about backward design and taking what you want to know and then going backwards to make that happen. And I believe that if you take children-centered interests and what they wanted to know and learn, and you take the district state goals and objectives and put that together, you have a child-centered learning. And he actually took my information and he put it in his next book. He's a university professor at Stanford. And he liked that. But changing teachers' perspective of how important science is, because it can be the vehicle to change a kid's perspective of school.
Deb, if you want to present at the Makers Faire, what is the procedure and how much is it cost?
The website is actually up and it's ready to go. We are asking, mainly because we're asking people not to actually approve, go ahead and sign in yet, but it's on the website. It's got the call for makers. The call for makers is going to start April the 25th and go through July the 3rd. And we have it up so you could kind of see what we're asking for, so you could kind of start thinking about what kind of questions we're asking, because we do expect a lot of people to actually approve it. And one of the reasons is because we're talking about, since you're talking about the different makers that are coming, I'll go ahead and address that really quick. Here, there are a lot of different things when you think of makers. First of all, when we're talking about makers, we're talking about individuals and groups of people who are demonstrating a skill or craft. And it could be anything from showing a finished piece of work to actually doing a hands-on workshop. And then we have commercial makers. Those are the vendors that a lot of them are going to be fine arts makers, to where they are creating something. It's not you buying jewelry someplace and you're selling it. It is a design issue, and it is the creativeness of it, whether it be in stoneware, it might be wood products, glass, a variety of fine arts mediums. And then we've got the performers. That is the dancers, the singers, the snake charmers. And of course, our insurance would never let us have any snake charmers. So, but we will have some of those set, because that's the creative part of it too. And it allows those mediums to work together. And then we have the speakers, and this is what I'm most excited about. We are going to actually have, like, what is the research going on in the area, in the medical field, dental field, sports medicine field, agriculture, architecture, and then what is that research and what does it look like, and how is it going to impact that field of learning within the whole area. And David Beach from Drury is working on getting all the speakers. And it will kind of be an invitation. Some people might apply for it, but then we will also be seeking out some really quality people to be able to share what's going on in the Ozark region to hit that. And then we're going to have exhibiting sponsors. And this is what we really need, because these are going to help drive the makers. Because what happens is the commercial makers, the vendors, and that might be even a 3D printer person that is making stuff and selling stuff. If they're selling stuff at our event, it's going to be $100 for a table. $100. If they're doing exhibiting sponsors, those start at $250 and go to $10,000 depending upon the corporate sponsorship level that they want to go. That allows us to give about a number of making that are going to demonstrate things and showcase things free booths. They're not going to have to pay for that. And so that's big. And so to do that and to get those people that are mucking around with robotics in their kitchen table or in CNC machines or 3D printers or a variety of other things in their shop or in their home, it allows them to showcase what they're doing. It allows makers to share and collaborate. What if a maker sees something that's going on here and then they're making something and put it together? Because that really brings infinite possibilities of what could happen in our region. So.
Before we wrap up here, we finish with the question, how can we as a community help you?
Oh, this is where we really need help. We have a lot of people helping, and that's great because on my information, we meet every month, and thank goodness for eFactory offers us to meet here every month to organize this. And we have the leadership team meets every month, and the advisory group meets every other month. And then we want to be able to get that out to the public, and we know that's going to open everybody's mind, and we really need you to open your mind and be creative. What could you do to help this be successful? And then getting the word out, because one, we have to educate what a maker is, what a maker fair is, and how it is so eclectically different. Just think about it and tell people it's kind of like science fair meets county fair, and it's something so totally new and so totally different, it's going to rock the Ozarks.
Thanks, Deb.
So there is, you can get on our website, you can get on Facebook, Twitter, sorry. Facebook, Twitter, and we've got all our call outs. Then too, you can, we want to thank you for listening and sharing, and if I could get this to go one more time. There. Now, what are you ready to make, Ozarks?
Can you tell she's energized by this? Can you tell that? Great job, Deb. I think it's going to be a fun thing, I think. Hey, some quick announcements. Sorry. The MATA group is going to meet here tomorrow at 4:30 at the eFactory. I think there's several people that have been in attendance at that over the years. I don't see Sherry Coker here today, but in any event, the real estate investors meeting is next, actually tomorrow. And we've got several of the guys from, we got Brad and Sean here. Wave your hands. So if you're interested in investing in real estate, these are the guys to see. And their new partner as well, I think, here. Spin 66. The inaugural event was last year, and that's going to be held on May 7th and 8th here at the eFactory. And I don't see Cody here, but you're going to see a lot more information on that. Also, the Women's Entrepreneurship Symposium is at Drury on March 21st. Kelly Still is the person, I think, if anyone's interested, is contact Kelly. And also, Rihanna, I think you're co-sponsoring, is that right? That's going to be a cool event. Building the Ultimate Business Plan here at the eFactory, April 15th and 16th. Again, Rihanna's here, so if you have a question about that, see her. And the Talking Biz with Eric Spillman, that's a new one, April 21st, again here at the eFactory. So if you're interested in any of those things, please see someone from the eFactory here. Our next presenter is StepNpull, and if you've been in the restroom here, you've already seen their product. Really cool. What we've noticed over the time period here is that people like physical products here at A Million Cups. So we've got a physical product. Mike Sewell and his team are here to present, so Mike, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. My name's Mike Sewell, and I'm here today with Ron Eli and Kelly Connington. And the name of our Springfield-based company is KRM Innovations Incorporated, and we are the inventors of a neat and handy device called StepNpull. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last several years, touch-free devices in restrooms are very common. It's great, isn't it? You don't have to touch a shared handle after you use the toilet to flush the urinal or the toilet. And you walk over to the sink and you wave your hand underneath the touchless soap dispenser. And then you wave your hand underneath the touchless faucet. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? Well, yes, it does. You walk over to the touch-free paper towel dispenser. You take a swipe and out pops a paper towel. You rip it off. and then you swipe again, because one's never enough, right? You always got to get 2 for some reason. And then you, or well, you know, if you're really lucky, then you step up to the Turbo 10,000 jet hand dryer. You know, that actually it's so loud it sounds like a jet's landing in stall 4. It might suck the ring off your finger, but it does a great job of drying your hands quickly. So as you finish drying your hands, you smile as you walk away, knowing that you went from the toilet to the door without touching a single thing, except there's one obstacle left to overcome, and that's the door handle. So as you stand there contemplating how you're going to get out, oh, see, I did the same thing. I got to point the computer right. As you contemplate how you're going to get out, thoughts of statistics about hand washing race through your mind. You know, studies show that 1 out of 5 people don't wash their hands after they use the restroom, and 50% of those hand washers don't use soap. And then CDC reports that only 5%, or roughly as few as 5% of the people wash their hands properly, meaning for 15 to 20 seconds to effectively remove the bacteria off the hands. So yeah, all this data is flying through your head as you stand there motionless, staring at the door handle, wondering how you're going to get out now. What are you going to do? You're going to stand there and wait for somebody to come in, so then you can dart out the door to finish your hands-free quest, your journey right out the door. Or maybe you still got that paper towel in your hand, you know, so you grab the handle with that and pull the door open. Or maybe there's only hand dryers in the bathroom and there aren't any paper towels. So do you run back into the stall and grab a wad of toilet paper and use that as a barrier between your hand and that nasty door handle? So StepNpull is a simple yet effective solution to this dilemma. And we're going to show you a video that our European partner produced that really does a nice job of demonstrating the advantage of having StepNpull. Again, by the way, it's easy to do. I want to point at the screen. Remember, European video. Okay, so the reason we're here today really is information share. We want a lot of open dialogue, a lot of questions. In the process, we'd like to tell a little bit about how we started, talk about our marketing challenges, our distribution, talk about our product evolution, our manufacturing, even share lessons learned. But as I mentioned, mainly answer questions and receive feedback. So then in the spirit of that last bullet point, what we really want to do is for the remainder of the session, just open it up for questions. You know, any question that falls in those categories, or just really anything in general you want to know about the business, or about how we've, you know, what we've done over the last 7 years as we've been doing this. So, yeah.
Great.
Way to go. I want to know what the first StepNpull looked like. What was the prototype?
Oh,
phase?
wow.
How did you dream?
Well, I do have backup slides here, so let me, that's a great question, because you would think that something, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's just, you know, it's a piece of metal machined, very simple device. Our very first prototype, you can see on the left, we made that, and that's what we took into the lawyer the first time on the top left. But you can see through the years we made some changes. The first one we installed for use, which was really great, by the way. I'll tell that story real quick. All 3 of us worked for a large wireless carrier, and back at the time there were about 150 people that worked out of this office, and one of my responsibilities was to take care of the building. And there was a call center in there. And so we came up with this idea and this invention. We wanted to try it out, but we wanted some unbiased feedback, some real feedback. And so we talked to the call center manager, and that was the only person in the building that knew this was our idea. So we went in and installed these in all 4 bathroom doors. And the next 2 days were amazing. I mean, people in the office were buzzing about this thing they put on the bathroom door that you could pull the door open with your foot. And so we knew we had a hit, right? So we went back to our attorney and started the patent process. And you know, he told us that really the patent was worth something. He said really the branding, trademarking the name was worth even more than the patent. And I think we can all understand that branding's so important in our world today. But ironically, it was very easy to trademark the name. However, we're still 7 years into the patent process, still patent pending. Right now it's being reviewed by the patent board for a final determination, but it's been a very long process. But yeah, so that's the first design that was installed there, top center. Then you can see we added a center hole and countersunk the screw heads. Bottom left, we added bumpers, which by the way, when you look at the final design on the right, we changed the bumpers out. Those bumpers fell off, they were poor design. And then the final design we sell today, bottom right, powder coated, grooves on the lip, engraved, because our branding is so important. That's been very beneficial to us, just to have the product placed out there where people see it, they use it, they see the name right there, and that's driven a lot of our sales and recognition. But I wanted to share these pictures today just because even something as simple as a piece of metal, you know, there's always opportunity to change, improve, advance a design. Some of these things that we added were because of customer concerns, like the bumpers. You know, honestly, that thing never hits the door hardly ever, but there were customers concerned that, hey, what if you open the door and it hits the wall, it's going to damage my wall, so we added bumpers. And we realized that we could get better traction if we put grooves on the lip, which Kelly wanted me to point out today that on one of his original prototypes that he actually did have grooves on it, but we opted not to do that initially, and so now so there's your minute of fame right there. So.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of bathroom doors out there, and
yes.
Hence opportunity for your product. Curious about your competitors and the current market share you have, and what your projections are as far as capitalizing on all those bathroom doors that.
You know, there's only one question per person, right?
Right. Well.
No. So competitors, there are a few out there. As far as dominance in the marketplace, I'd say we're dominant. If you go out on the internet and look for hands-free door opener, touchless fixtures, we're on the first page of Google in just about all the searches. Okay. Yeah. On all those types of searches, we're dominant. There's nobody else that has a design like ours out there that you step on, that mounts low on the door, pull the door open. So to answer your question, there are a few competitors, but I really feel like they're, from a price point perspective and functionality perspective, they're just really haven't been significant to this point. And what was your other question?
The market share. So you basically own the market. How are you capitalize on it?
How do you capitalize on it? You know that. Let's go to the marketing slide. So I love this. I found this cartoon here because I think it's great. I can relate to this. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, well, from the beginning of time, since the door was invented, we'll just say that. Since the door was invented, you've used your hand to open it, right? And why not? It's easy. I mean, why invent any new way to open a door? There was really no need to. So we've always opened a door with our hand. We've always done that. So to come up with a completely new idea that people aren't even looking for, that's been a real challenge. And from business perspectives, it's taken, from their perspective, safety concerns, I mean, have come up from the beginning. You know, are you going to trip on it? Are you going to fall on it? You know, so that is that has been an obstacle that we've excuse me. That's been an obstacle that we've had to overcome. And also, since we're a B2B, you know, we're selling directly to businesses. That narrows down our scope on our marketing. And then not every business has an application, so that's even a narrower. So to try to find a way to, you know, not an infomercial, that's not the way to do it. That costs too much. You won't get your return on your investment. You're not really going to run just, you know, advertisements on the TV. You know, social media is a pretty good way, and we haven't really, that's one area we need to push on harder because we haven't really leveraged that like we should have. We tried cold calling. that didn't work. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, so cold calling was not effective. We've called a lot of people. And it's actually a lot better now than what it was because more people are aware of it. So it's not, in the very beginning, when we started, try to call a business and explain what your product does. And they're like, what? You do what? You know, so our best advertising has been just getting them out there. Initially here, especially around Springfield, we probably gave, 10, 12 sets away so that we could get good feedback from those business owners. We could see how the product would hold up, if there were any concerns on the door or anything like that. And we've even talked to some local door companies here like R. Smith and Ron Miller and talked a little bit about, are there any concerns with door frame stress and, with stepping down on that? And they all said, no, if the door's installed properly, the door frame's installed properly, it's fine. So I got off on a tangent there a little bit, I apologize. But really back to the point, right now our best advertising has been just the more that they get out there, the more people see them, so it brings about awareness. And then we're kind of in the phase, people accept them, the more they use them. And then we're looking forward to the demand phase, which we're partly there, but as people, they start to demand them, they want, they go, I don't know how many times we've had orders from companies that say, hey, I had an employee come print your web page off, put it on my desk, and say, we want these in our bathrooms. Or, they're starting to tell businesses, restaurants that they go to, hey, we'd like to have these in the restroom. So that's a lot of chatter. Yeah, so as far as distribution, going the wrong way. No, get off there, we've seen that once. Yeah, so this ties into the marketing thing. From the very beginning, within a month or so, we had people coming to us, both individuals and distributors interested in selling. And honestly, individuals haven't had much success for obvious reasons. I mean, it's tough for us or even sometimes distributors to push the product, but if you're not tied in with a business or have connections, the right connections as an individual, you're not going to do well. We got a break in 2009. We had a store manager in Topeka, Kansas contact us. He used to work here in the Springfield store where they had installed StepNpulls. He was out in Kansas. He thought it was a great idea, so he contacted us and wanted to cowboy some StepNpull displays in some of the Lowe's stores in Kansas. He wanted to put them on the shelf and actually see if he could move some of the products. So we set up, I don't know, probably 10 displays, made a road trip out there, met with him, and then shortly thereafter they set us up as a special order vendor where you can go into a Lowe's store and you can order through Lowe's on the store or either on their website. So that was a big break. They're probably our biggest distributor, definitely. We move from a distributor perspective more through Lowe's than any other distributor. Menards, we got involved with them last year, same thing, special order online. We work with Granger, Newton Distributing, Hotel Register, and I mentioned R. Smith, Ron Miller. We probably have 12 to 15 distributors that work with us on a regular basis, probably 10 on a regular basis. We have some international distribution. I mentioned that European video. We got a really good connection over in the UK. Mick Janaway, he lives just outside of London in Essex. I believe that's where he's from. He has a presence over there, but we work with people in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Costa Rica. We've had somebody here in the last few weeks contact us about Guatemala and Canada, and we've on and off had distributorship in Canada. But still, today our primary distribution is through our website.
Sorry, you've actually answered a lot of my questions with what you're talking about in regards to the distribution channel, but I've traveled a lot lately and I've seen your product pretty much in every town that I've been in lately. So I guess in regards to your current distribution channel or the way that you're getting it out there, it sounds to me a lot like it's word of mouth through restaurants or the B2B channel. Have you looked at other verticals as opposed to just the restaurants or the bars? Are you also looking at like universities or hospitals and not necessarily just the restrooms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as far as not the restrooms, that's a good point. That's our primary focus, and that's probably 80–90% of the application for StepNpull. But we've had them installed on, say, the front door of auto parts stores where somebody's carrying a battery and they can pull the front door open, or like a UPS store. You got packages in your hands. Pharmaceutical clean rooms where they need some way to open those doors after they've sanitized, and so they can use StepNpulls there. But as far as you're asking about just pushing harder in those segments. I mean, it's certainly something that we need to look at. Maybe trade shows, you know, cold calling might even be effective at this point. Maybe even actually visit some people. But yeah, I mean, we actually have reached out to some of those segments you mentioned.
Well, we've got tons of universities that are using them now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so that too, our customer list, which I say customer, actually companies, if you get a chance to go to our website, StepNpull.com, go to a link on there and who's using StepNpull, I think is what it's called. But we have over 1,000 companies right now that use them, and I mean, anywhere from small companies, yeah, I mean, Google, Facebook, we've received pretty big orders from Google and Cisco and Delta Airlines to all kinds of different universities across the country. That's not to say that they wholesale put them on every door of that university, but if you see a customer listed, it means that they put them at least one location. A lot of those customers or businesses listed have 10, 20, 30 installed. So.
Hi, my name's Larry Askren, and I'm curious about your manufacturing on your piece of aluminum.
Yes.
Is that all done in-house, one place, or do you have to take it?
That's a great question. We're gonna hit on all these. Yeah, so let's talk about manufacturing history. The first 300, we had a local, and now I can't even remember the name, they're in Nixa. We had a company make the first 300 for us. But they were so simple and basic, and we were trying to save money or whatever. We actually made in the garage, that's me pictured, but we were all there. We made several hundred on our own because we had a chop saw and we had a drill press and we had a file and we just did it. So, but in late 2008, Drew Holden from Custom Metalcraft, who actually knows our attorney, they were talking at lunch one day, and Drew wanted to get involved, so he contacted us. And so for the next 4 or 5 years, we worked with them, and it was a great partnership. They helped us a lot as far as incorporating some of the design changes we wanted, and just really good to work with. But in 2013, we decided to start sourcing them because they were a one-stop shop, so we could break that out and kind of source it all on our own. So 2013, we work with Precision Machining here in Springfield, Ozarks Powder Coating in Carthage, and Ozarks Custom Engraving. We really wanted to keep it U.S. made. We didn't want to go overseas for a variety of reasons, but for one, you know, the turnaround. I mean, it's just 2 or 3 months versus a few weeks to get product. It's just a lot better. Plus, I just want to keep it in the U.S. But does that answer your question about?
Sure. I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Jason Klein. It sounds like up to this point, your product has been an upgrade to existing facilities. Has there been any talk of approaching designers or the upgrading specs for buildings so that this is just part of the original design? Yes,
mandatory. Wouldn't that be nice if I could lobby legislation and get a law passed where you had to have a touch-free way to open every public? I'd love that. We've talked to architects through the years, and some have actually spec'd these in on jobs. So, and that's where it's at, right? And I agree, that's a great place to be. I don't know that our image is in the official library of images that they can pull out of and put on the door to spec in, but I do know that we've had some architects do that, have had questions. Recently, we had some out in the Northeast contact us. They were concerned about ADA compliance issues, and which we've talked to the ADA a couple different times and been, you know, assured there are no issues. And they were really kind of misinterpreting the law. The ADA law talks about a 10-inch area on the door that cannot have anything mounted to it more than 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch sticking out. But that's on the push side of the door. We're on the pull side of the door, so we're fine. We're ADA compliant, not an issue. If your bathroom is ADA compliant, we don't change that a bit. But yeah, I mean, that's where we want to get, is where the architects can, you know, plug us right into the design drawings.
Yeah, I think I've seen it in Chili's. Is it in the Chili's bathroom? So my question is, those are large chains. So does that mean that it's all across the nation through those individual chains, or it's individual restaurants?
You know, no. Short answer is no. And what you run into with the restaurants is some are corporate, some are franchised. And so what you find, like you might get into an Applebee's or Chili's somewhere, and maybe that person that owns that one owns 3 or 4, and so they put them in all 3 or 4. McDonald's is the same way. They have corporate stores. They have franchise stores. So no, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door. But yeah, it's a great way to get your product placed and your opportunity to expand from there. Wasn't that great? You like that?
Hey, on that, we had a Applebee's nationwide / IHOP, and the guy said that this is one of the best things he's seen to enhance the customer experience in a long time. So
Yeah, yeah, we're working with them. That could be potentially our first nationwide account, you know, across the board. Could be all the Applebee's and IHOPs, but we're working on that right now. So we actually were approached by Macy's here recently too. So.
Hi.
Hi.
Jennifer Jester. I was just sort of thinking, sort of to piggyback on what she just said. I have a music school in town. We have about 150 kids and parents come through. And one of our pain points is that pretty much we get every disease known to man through the winter period. And if we installed something like this, it might cut down our employee sick days, the kids gone, and you know, like that could be a huge marketing thing for you. And you know, we're a franchise, so like every school that we have in the system could have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a good point, and you know that's a part of our learning process. We've learned never to assume that people know the obvious, right? You really need to learn that because you know you would think everybody knows by now that you should wash your hands, that touch points spread germs, you know, but not everybody gets that. We need to do a better job of pushing that point. And if we had some more statistical data, I mean. Really, it's out there. As long as we inform people of the risk, cross-contamination, the importance of hand washing. If you can avoid that completely in step, I mean, you go from this risk to no risk by using your foot. So I mean, it is a good selling point.
Might there be a health organization in the room today that could provide some statistical data on?
Oh, that's a great idea. I don't know. Might there be?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that person, if they're here, might come see me, or those people. So.
Hi, I'm Greg Lynn, and
Hi, Greg.
I was wondering about, you know, you talked about you're one at a timing, and you're going to door companies that retail. How about the door manufacturers? How about like Hilliard, who is the chemical people that you know, sell all those
cleaning supplies and
cleaning supplies,
yeah.
And then also what is available to plumbers. Plumbers put these bathrooms together, you know, they basically, right?
Right.
So they buy those automatic faucets, and they buy the toilets and all that stuff. And that's just another thing to put in their repertoire, their salespeople. You know,
Sure.
It's as simple as that. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a great
suggestion.
point. And that's the other thing is that what didn't work 3 years ago, we try again because it goes back to as we become more, people are more aware that we're out there, then maybe that first call to that company 3 years ago didn't work, but maybe now it would. So, yeah.
Well, if they sell paper products too, it's going to hurt their bottom line by putting StepNpulls in. So we got to watch that.
Well, I mean, if somebody's looking at eliminating paper towels and putting in a hand dryer, but that's the other angle that we haven't had much success with yet, but we keep trying. You know, in my mind, if you're selling hand dryers, I know one of the biggest hurdles they have is people don't want to get rid of those paper towels because they still want them there to pull the door open. Well, why not give away a StepNpull with every 2 hand dryers you put in? And I mean, you've just overcome the biggest obstacle of selling your hand dryer product. It hasn't caught on yet with them yet, but we've approached that. So
we can put their name on the StepNpull.
Yeah, maybe co-branded. I want to keep our name on there. But. Yes.
Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So I've known you guys for a while. All 3 of you have good jobs. What are your next steps in this? I mean, you have something that I think probably everyone in here thinks that it could go really well. Is it a step of investment where you can bring on people to help push this into distributors? What do you see your next steps?
You know, it's tough because we were approached by a big investor a few years ago, and at the time we talked to him about it. He agreed there really wasn't a place for him to throw money at this thing necessarily to get a good return on that. I think we need, as I mentioned earlier, we really need to look at the social media because it is, I think, to get the business, to get the general population aware so that they start driving the demand back up to the companies because, you know, I think about, we talked about this before a lot of times about the baby changing stations. 10 years ago you didn't see them in the bathrooms, now you see them everywhere. Well, that's because people demanded that. They went to they said, look, I need a place to, I need to be able to change my child in the bathroom, not put them on the floor, you know. So that's what drove that. We're in the same position. We're trying to get, you know, we need to get the awareness out there to the general population so they drive that demand with the businesses.
I'm going to be like Shark Tank. Can you kind of tell us how many you've sold and what you're selling them for?
Yeah, we've sold a little over 12,000 so far, and they sell for $30 a piece.
Pretty good. Yeah. So before we wrap up here, we always finish with the question, how can we as a community help you?
Well, just being here today, I've heard a lot of great feedback, but going forward, you know, help us spread the word. Really, that's a lot of it. If you have a business where you could use StepNpulls in the bathroom, you know, by all means, please look us up, buy some. You know, I really, as far as helping us out, I think that's mainly it. Just if you have people that you work with in other business circles that they don't know about our product, if you could just spread the word. Right now, that's what we need more than anything.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. I have my little superhero with me today. So
where's the shield?
Our youngest entrepreneur. Thank you so much for coming in today. That was really great, and we appreciate it. We are going to have a dedication right afterwards, and so we would really appreciate it if you can stick around for that. Please do. And also a shout out for Brick and Mortar. They provided our coffee today. They're going to be providing for us for the next while, and so we really appreciate it, and I think their coffee is awesome. So thank you. If you can stick around, please do. Otherwise, have a wonderful Wednesday.